how Staffordshire should sound. Six Towns Radio.
On Monday, we announced Stoke-on-Trent was coming to Staffordshire on September the 28th, and there's some great guests already on our website, stokeontrent.com, and I've got another one on the line, actor Derek Lyons. Hello, Derek.
Oh, hello, Terry. Thank you very much for inviting me on your show. I really appreciate that.
Not at all. I appreciate you coming on the show, and also being a guest at Stoke-on-Trent. Have you ever been to Stoke before?
No, I haven't had the privilege of coming to your lovely place, your lovely area. No, I'm really, most of my journeys have been outside of England, to be honest with you. I've been up to Manchester, and I think that's as far as I've actually been, you know, Bradford, I suppose, Yorkshire maybe once. But yeah, I kind of, you know, I'm a London boy, you know, I'm really a London person, really.
Okay, well, for those that don't know, you were in Star Wars: A New Hope. It came out in 1977. How did you get involved with that film? What happened? What was the process?
Well, it's a kind of big story. I mean, obviously, since I was a child, I was always a good mimic and entertainer and stuff, and I've come from a family of entertainers, variety artists. And anyway, what happened is my father knew some stuntmen in the business, and and that got me an agent. In fact, my dad kind of spoke to an agent friend of his, and so I got on this agency. And then, obviously, that was in '75, and in '76, I was called to go and have a kind of look at it wasn't Elstree, it was Shepperton Studios at that point, have a kind of Polaroid taken and fitting, and I met an assistant director there who was still a kind of good friend of mine, Terry Madden, who does a lot of the James Bond films, and he thought I'd be brilliant as one of the rebel guards, so that's what happened. And obviously a week later I was on the movie for 2 weeks at Shepperton, because it was mainly based at Elstree Studios, but because the sound stage, H stage, was a very large place for the Masasi scene, the actual medal-bearing scene, the scene of the heroes, where you see Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher coming down to get, obviously going to get medals off Princess Leia, which obviously with Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca. And obviously, it was we filmed that for over a week. It was a kind of long scene, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and a very famous scene. And I suppose when you filmed it, you had no idea. I said this to Laurie Good on Monday. You had no idea how big that film and then the franchise was going to be. You couldn't have any conception of that, could you?
No, not really. I was just at college still, and I took 2 weeks off, bunked off college actually to do it, and it was a big, because I'm a big movie fan anyway, and being on a set like that was just like it was amazing. But we didn't. We just heard people thought it was some of the other people on some of the supporting artists and stuff. They thought it was a bit of a joke, and they wouldn't do anything. But we did hear. I'm sure I did hear that there would be some merchandising connected. You get these little things, unless it's part of, you think it's, sometimes your memory's not as good, and you think, did that really happen? So, yeah, so we kind of had, we didn't really have an idea then. Obviously, it was just another movie to most people, and obviously it was my first movie ever. So I was just privileged to be part of it, and obviously the rest is history now, Now we've got episode 7 coming out end of next year, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be as big as the other 6. And you were one of the youngest actors on there as well, because you look at you, no disrespect to Dave Prowse or Jeremy Bulloch or people who were in the Star Wars original trilogy, but you're only a young guy still.
Well, I think what it was, when I worked on Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, I think I took the chalice, and that's where it went. And I've been drinking out of that ever since, so maybe that's why I look younger as well, because I suppose people say I look like about 35, and I'm actually 55 this year, 56 in September, in fact, just a few days before this convention, Stoke-on-Trent.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, I'm the youngest, and it was it's funny that Star Wars is kind of followed me most of my life, even when I was working in the music business as a office boy messenger at one point. And when I went to CBS Records, Jonathan Morris, the PR guy, said, "Oh, it's Derek Star Wars," and I was always known with Derek with Star Wars. This is a guy in Star Wars, because it was '77 onwards, it kind of was a big thing, in everywhere. Everyone was talking about it, even to this day,
Yeah, and then I suppose let's talk about your other acting work in a minute or two, but it was about 5 or 6 years ago when the whole convention thing really blew up and you start getting asked to go all over the world, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what happened is, obviously, I'm a member of Equity, and I've been for over 25 years now, I suppose. And I did get fan letters and people sending me stuff to sign via Equity, and that's how it really started. This is going back to early 2000s. And in about 2006, I was approached by an organizer to do an event, I forgot where it was, in North London somewhere, and that was my first one, and then I got a taste for it, and then it just went on from there. And I was the following year I was in Japan on my own. I was a special guest in Tokyo. Really few hundred fans there, and it was amazing. It was a time when I've got an action figure, which is Rebel Honor Guard, of which it's mine, I would say, and Lorne Peterson, who was the other Rebel Guard. If your listeners will remember when the heroes come through the doors slide. On the left-hand side is me, as you look at them, and the right-hand side is the other guy, Lorne Peterson. And Lorne Peterson's the guy who actually made all the models for Star Wars and still works for Lucasfilm. So there's me at one end as a Rebel Guard, and obviously, a medal bearer, and I was in a couple of other scenes as well. So it was, great, and I lost my track, actually.
So much to discuss, mate. And and like yourself, you just mentioned you played other parts. A lot of people did, because there was a lot of things going on and a lot of people behind masks, so you could play other things.
Yeah, the reason they did that is because it was low budget, and they asked him, because Terry Madden was I was quite frightened of him actually at that time, and he apologised years later and said, I'm sorry I frightened you, Derek, because he was really quite tough. Because I got it was actually there were two medal bearers we chose. It was myself and a guy called Robert. I can't remember his second name. And the funny coincidence is that at college, my friend Paolo, his girlfriend Ingrid, it was her brother. It was kind of really weird, connections, and we were chosen as the medal bearers. And unfortunately, Robert wasn't particularly good. He when he was walking forward to give the medal, he was like walking like Charlie Chaplin, and so they got rid of him, and they got this other guy. So it was me. I was the first one they chose, then Robert, and then Robert got elbowed, as we call it in the business, and then they got someone else. And obviously Terry Madden then said, because if they find someone who is particularly good at something, and they take the cues and they hit the marks and they do it properly and they're professional, then they say, well, that guy would be good to do that, and that guy would be to do that. So that's why in the whole of the business, as an actor and as when I was kind of doing some background stuff, because all of us have done it, even Tom Cruise and most of the Hollywood actors have done all this at one point in their career. You get chose, and a lot of the movies I've done, which includes Superman, The Shining, Indiana Jones, and numerous others, and then eventually I had a part in a TV show called The Bill as PC Craig Lovell, which went for 5 years, and it's important. I'm just particularly, to actually do this kind of, be in the film business, as well.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to talk about before you go is Elstree 76. It's a film that's coming out next year, and it's about all the actors who were behind the mask, and some of them did different roles that you might not have seen, and it's telling their story, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was approached last April, early last year, maybe just before April, by Hank Starr, the producer, and he said, "Are you interested in this? Because we think we've heard a lot about you. You'd be great. You're quite popular in the circuit and stuff, and on the convention circuit, etc." And so anyway, I said yes, I'd do it, and I was interviewed. It was actually myself and I think it was Anthony Forrester, and we put the first three people to be in it, but then Laurie, and it went on from there. But yeah, this film comes out. It's about a 2-hour movie, which has been sponsored by fans. I think up to this date, it's made. They needed $30,000, but it's gone up to about $42,000 as we speak. And anyway, this basically film is the template is Star Wars. These people worked on this iconic movie, and then what did they do before Star Wars and after Star Wars? It's not particularly about Star Wars, but it's about the characters, the actors, the life, and it's much more deeper than just being about Star Wars. And that's why it's going to be a success and a big film next year. So that comes out sometime middle of next year, just before Episode 7 comes out. I think they're having a preview at Elstree Studios, where obviously, a lot of it was filmed too. So I'm quite excited about going to that, because I'm going to do a Q&A, I think, with Laurie and a few others,
Yeah, well, we were talking yesterday, weren't we? And I've managed to get the trailer to play at Stoke-on-Trent, so we'll be broadcasting the trailer throughout the day at the event as well.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, obviously, that was obviously because I know we spoke about this. Yeah. I spoke to the director and producer, and he said absolutely perfect. So I'm really pleased, because he hasn't really allowed it to be shown at any other conventions between now and your one. So I think you're going to be you've got to be very honoured to actually have this shown at this convention, because no other places are showing it.
No, well, we are honoured, and like I say, the people can come and see that throughout the day. This weekend, you're doing another convention, aren't you, in Manchester?
Yeah, I'm up at the Printworks. Carl, I think it's Whiteley, has invited me with a few other artists, Barry Holland, myself, and Paul Blake, and Alan Roscoe, etc., to this event, which is on Sunday, the 6th of July, and looking forward to that, and so I travel tomorrow to Manchester, and then we're having a meal, and then the following day we're having a meal with the stars. I mean, I'm not a star, but that's what they call it. So it'd be great, the fans, because they're very excited. To meet anyone connected with Star Wars. It's not about me, Star Wars I happen to be part of in a very small way, and obviously I've got things to come. I've got a movie coming out this year as well called Z-Listers, and the point is that I just do my best, and the fans enjoy me and my stories, my anecdotes, and yeah, I'm there for the fans really, and I'm quite happy to be part of the Star Wars legacy. It's just been a wonderful time, to be honest with you.
And long may it continue. Well, thank you very much, Derek, for coming on the phone today, and we look forward to meeting you in September.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you, Terry, and I'd just like to say to all your listeners, may the Force be with you all in your heart and soul, and have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful life, and I'll speak to you later.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Derek Lyons.
Take care. Bye, Terry. Thank you.